Welcome to Week 1 UPIKE Football Coaches Show. I'm sitting here with head coach Coach Fipps ahead of Week 1's contest against Kentucky Christian this Saturday at 7 o'clock. What do you think, Coach?
Well, pretty excited. It feels like we haven't played football in a long time, so we have a long fall camp. Excited to see who our guys and what they can do.
So let's talk about fall camp. That's something you've talked a lot about. What is the primary goal of fall camp, and did you get close to that?
Yeah, I think we did. Obviously in college football, kind of rite of passage thing is fall camp and testing your mettle and battling the elements. And, you get 15 padded spring practices in the spring, and then you have this long layoff where the guys go home, and you just hope for the best that if you got good culture, they're doing what they're supposed to. And then you report back about August 1, and usually you got 3 to 4 weeks to get ready. Now, for us this year, because of just the unknowns of COVID, we shifted our schedule back a little bit and ended up with 2 extra weeks. We'll play 10 straight games and still get a full season, but we wanted to make sure that we didn't have any issues if there was another variant or something going on. So we actually feel like this fall, got another spring ball, another 10 to 15 practices for our guys to really figure out systems, and that was really good.
So having extra time seemed to be the theme of that point you made there. And this year, you've had so much extra time compared to coming in so late in the year last year. Your first campaign, you got here in what, July?
Yeah.
July. Yeah. And so now you've had a full year, going 4-6 last season, had some high points, had some low points, but this is more your team than it was last year, more your system, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. This time last year, I was still trying to figure out where to pay the water bill and where the post office was and all those things, and everybody had a nickname. Everybody was Bubba or Buddy last year because I just didn't know the kids' names even, just trying to figure it out. And we feel like this entire team is ours, that we either recruited new athletes or re-recruited for retention purposes the kids that are on the roster. So I told them very first meeting, we all belong to each other. You belong to me, I belong to you. It's like a cheesy song, but it's the truth that we're all in this together. And I think it's been a real positive the way we've gone through fall camp.
Anything else you want to talk about regarding what we've been through? Of course, we'll talk about the matchup upcoming in the season ahead before we end the segment. But is there anything you want to talk about in terms of summer, key things that you've noticed, development in your own coaching style?
Well, I think the key things that we've developed is a real passion for the mountains, a real passion for the community. You've had a just really tough moment in the mountains with all the flooding and all the things that have happened here. And our guys during the month of August put in over 1,300 hours of community service. I watched guys stand, from nose to toes in mud with buckets. And, I heard Anthony Grant, one of our linebackers, say, if we can't trust you to help somebody, we can't trust you in the fourth quarter. And I think what's really developed out of this long camp and the opportunity to slow down and really show guys what's important in life is just a real brotherhood, a real community approach to our football program. So to me, that's the biggest theme that's come out of this summer.
And I think that's really exciting. I think that the devastation, of course, was awful for so many people, and to see a community like this come together has been awesome. It's good to hear that it's also touched your program.
Absolutely.
But now we'll wrap up our first section with Coach Fipps. We will get with some student athletes here shortly on the UPIKE Sports Network. Welcome back. We are here with grad student defensive end Josh Ervin. Josh, you're in your 6th season with the Bears, a grad student at the University of Pikeville. This probably your final run through, right?
That's my final go.
So what are you thinking about it?
I'm just blessed to be a part of the team. After last season, I was out the whole season with heart complications, and I'm just blessed to be back on the field.
Well, that's really exciting. And so let's talk about the summer and last season. So you said you were out all of last season. You got to see Coach Fipps come in July, so didn't really have time to build his team, get familiar with the system. It was just kind of, get on the horse and go.
Right.
Now that you guys have had some time together as a team, he talked about building that relationship, and this is like, you're all in it together. Do you feel that practices and things regarding you student athletes have reflected that?
I do. I feel like people are buying in. Change is hard, but it's necessary sometimes. And there can be resistance with change, but once people accept that change is a good thing, and it's starting to mold, and each day you can start to feel it mold more.
Yes, absolutely, and I'm sure that's exciting too. You've been through 2 different coaching staffs. You've been through 6 seasons. So for you can probably pinpoint all the good and the bad when all systems. So it's good to see you're excited about that. Let's talk about your personal development in this off season. You're coming into your last season. How do you feel physically?
I feel good. I've put on a little weight, but last year, I was ready to go, but unfortunate events, and so this year had a good summer. Had a good fall camp, and we're ready to compete.
So let's promote you a little bit. So you are a grad student.
I am.
And you work for Modern Women of America.
I do.
Talk a little bit about what you do.
I'm a financial representative for Modern Women of America. Right now I do all things financial planning. But right now I'm mainly focused on life insurance. But down the line, as I get more certificates and license, I'll be able to do more investments and retirement planning, retirement distribution, and things like that.
So we need to tell the folks at home to get a hold of you.
That's right.
If they're in the market for those sort of things.
Definitely call me.
So looking ahead at KCU, obviously Fipps' old employer. It's a big game. It's a season opener, and we're at home. What's your prospects on that game? What's your outlook?
Man, we're ready to compete. The good thing about college football is you never know what could happen. But I have confidence in our team. We're a strong team, and we're ready to compete.
Awesome.
It's been a while. It's been a long time coming. We're ready to play.
Yes, love it. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Welcome back. We're sitting with Amari Hardwick, a graduate student at the University of Pikeville and a wide receiver for this Bears football team. Hardwick coming from KCU, 2 seasons there, and then COVID happened. This is your first season suiting up for the Bears, right?
Yes, sir. Very excited to suit up for the Bears.
Yeah.
Very thankful for Coach Fipps, for giving me the opportunity to come and play with the Bears and things like that. Having to sit out last year was really crazy, He told me before coming, like, hey, the possibility you hadn't sit out is very high. Like, is that something that you're okay with doing? And I told him, I said, that's fine. I know this first year y'all going to have to really get readjusted and things like that. Like I said, sitting out probably was the best thing to happen for me, honestly. I got to, watch and see a lot of the pieces that we would have coming back and things like that. Like I said, Fipps, he bought his offense in. We have people like Lee Kirkland and Eli Sammons and, Xavier Malone at quarterback. And we have a wide receiver core that is insane. Like, it's really too many guys to name. Like I said, love them all. But, we travel 3 receivers at every position and every guy can play.
Really?
That's really something rare to have in, the division that we play in.
So Coach Fipps, for a little bit of background, it comes from the air raid offense ideology. So as a wide receiver, I'm sure that's just something that you love, something that you cherish.
Yeah, it is. Playing an outside receiver is really great to play an offense under Coach Fipps because he likes to throw the ball. If he can throw the ball 50 to 70 times a game, he's going to throw it 50 to 70 times. So you're going to get a chance to touch the ball and you're going to get a chance to make a big play.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your personal development in this offseason. Coming from not playing a season ago, kind of in the same boat as Josh for different reasons. How do you feel about your own physical and mental development, both as a student and as an athlete?
As a student, like I said, coming to UPIKE was one of the best things that happened to me because at my last institution, I was a good student, but I didn't really have to work hard to be a good student. Here, a lot of the professors and things like that, credit to them, people in student success, they really pushed me to be, a better student and things like that, and that's what's got me in a position to be in grad school. Physically, we had a strength and conditioning coach last year, Coach Franklin. He really helped me get to where I am today. And then bringing Coach Friday in, Coach Friday, he's just helped me keep building on top of that. And honestly, I feel physically the best part I've ever felt. You know, like I said, for me to be, one of the older guys on the team, it's really great to, feel how I'm feeling right now.
So being one of the older guys, I'm sure there's a certain amount of leadership that comes with that, and a certain amount of responsibility.
Yeah, and it is. And, it'll be, small things that, freshmen look to you to ask you different questions, things like that, because they know you've been in the game a long time. And then plus, like I said, we want to do something really big this year. So keeping everybody in line and making sure that we stay focused when, it's really hard to stay focused. That's something that we need leaders to be able to do that for us. So, like I said, and we got a good amount of leaders. Like I said, we got a lot of older guys. We're veteran-led and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be a great season.
So let's talk about the obvious. You're playing KCU. First home game back with UPIKE. You're suiting up, playing where you were going to school just 2 seasons ago. How does that feel? Are you excited?
I mean, credit to Coach Fipps. Coach Fipps, he first day in, we was watching film. He made it, known to us like, hey, I know for a lot of you guys, y'all think y'all got to go out there and win this game. For me, I just want to let you guys know, to me, this is just another game on the schedule. Let's just go win our first football game of the season. Personally, for me, this is a big game because, coming from my prior institution and things like that, having to sit out and it just being the first game. I mean, it's not so much the fact that it is Kentucky Christian that it's being our first game. It's just being able to come together as a team, because when you go through like fall camp, you go through spring ball, it's kind of like offense versus defense, really. But this week we get to, 2 days, we get to put it all together and be one big team. So it's going to be great, and this just so happens to be KCU. So.
Well, I know that we are all excited for it, Amari. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Good luck this weekend.
Hey, appreciate you.
So what we're looking at here is your area right here in your neck. We're identifying where you have subluxation. So what we're going to do is come to this side. We're going to come right here. Great adjustment right here. We're going to come in. Great adjustment. And right here. Great adjustment.
So to start out with, before we talk about anything football related, what awesome young men that we talked to just now, Josh Ervin and Amari Hardwick.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's a special place in my heart for both those guys. Josh is a guy that sat out last year because of some COVID stuff and graduated, and he's working a full-time gig. Out there hustling the real world, and then coming in the afternoons to play football. And
we plugged him. We got him. Life insurance.
Life insurance, baby. And then you got Amari Hardwick, who was a kid who was at Kentucky Christian with us and said, before I made it through HR, he had been accepted to school and said, Coach, I know I've got to sit out a year, but I'm going to UPIKE, and I'm going to do it. So, the fact that he sat out a year to play for us and play with these guys, and, he's really bought into the UPIKE experience. So both grads already. This extra COVID year, it's crazy how many guys are graduating and then continuing on to get an MBA or some sort of master's degree.
Which is really exciting, because another thing I talked to Amari about was the leadership on this team. He said you're veteran-led.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really young, strangely, but we have a really strong veteran crew that really leads the locker room and leads our guys. So it's a kind of it's misleading when you look at the roster and see how many guys still have remaining eligibility, and a lot of that's because of COVID. A lot of guys who should be juniors, should be seniors, are listed as sophomores.
Right.
So
let's talk about the nuts and bolts. KCU on Saturday. Amari said that you told the locker room straight up on film day one, this is another game for me. You're not winning this for me. We're going out to win it for you guys.
I said no. I don't need any. Let's win one for the Gipper. This is just. This is just another game, strangely. When you look at the roster there, we've been gone 13 months, but because of COVID, because of, just the transitions and the transfer portal nature of college athletics, there's only 17 kids that played for us up there. And so we don't know that team very well in terms of the ins and outs of things. Now, those 17 kids up there still mean something to me, but really I want the guys to understand this is the first step in our 2022 journey. And let's not make this the Super Bowl. Let's not make it more than it is. It's just our first step in a very long journey to see how good this team can be and who we can be as individuals and just as as an organization. So I think Jake Russell, the head football coach up there, is an outstanding young coach who has been an offense coordinator at Union College and some different places. Had his journey as a collegiate player and ended up at Campbellsville and was Mid-South Conference Offensive Player of the Year, and so he knows this league. He understands it. They are 0-2 right now, but played two really good football teams in Thomas More last week, and they lost a nail-biter there, and then played Georgetown College the week before. So we've got to scout them for 2 weeks, see what they're doing. They kind of, I think, know what we're doing just because me and Coach Elliott, our defensive and offensive schemes are, been around this league. Me and Coach have been around a while, so everybody knows kind of what we do. But in terms of our personnel, they haven't gotten to take a look at that like we've taken a look at their personnel.
So let's talk about the quarterback situation. Everybody's going to be paying attention, and I know
Yeah.
we talked about it earlier. I'm going to put you on the spot. You've got a handful of guys that can really play.
Yeah, I think we might have the deepest quarterback room in small college football. We've got 3 guys that are battling. I think we've got 9 quarterbacks altogether, a couple of Division I transfers, some guys that have been here, some really good high school guys that we're hoping to redshirt. So, I think the strongest competition in our program this fall was at the quarterback position. Still think Lee Kirkland, who was our starter and was about 6 points from, leading us to 6-3 season. Yep. We went 4-5 in games played. I think he's healthy for the first time, understands the offense. One day he hit a read on a play, and he goes, "Coach, I've never gotten to the 4th read." I said, "Yeah, because you were just trying to survive last year. Right. Now you understand things." And then you've got, Xavier Malone, who backed him up last year, who's come a million miles in this last year and has done really well. And then you've got the guy behind that is Eli Sammons, who's was a Rivals 3-star, 6'6" kid who went full scholarship to Marshall, who's here now. And all 3 of those guys could be our starter. And then there's 2 or 3 other guys that, if it was this time last year, they'd be in the conversation. So we feel really fortunate to have those guys because, that competition has created some really good things in our organization that nobody's safe, including the starting quarterback, if you don't compete. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do come Saturday night, but one of those guys is going to be behind center at any given moment. I know that. And the greatest thing is they root for each other, they cheer for each other, they coach each other up in between snaps. I know they're a little bit selfish. They would like to be. Sure. I mean, that's human nature. Sure. But they sure root for each other, and that's a positive for us.
So that's a good position to have several guys in the fold that can make an impact. So
absolutely.
Moving beyond that, Amari was hinting at your wide receiver core is also just ridiculous.
Yeah, he thinks they're unbelievable. They all think they're Randy Moss. They're all prima donnas, those receivers. But no, we've got some really good talent there. Amari at the X position, and which is an outside receiver for us, and we've got 3 deep there. With DeAndre Stafford, and who caught a bunch of balls for us last year, and a newcomer, Dasani Tate. And then our slot receiver position. We feel really good about that. Our tight ends are really competing, and then guys like Ben Henson, who've been here a while, are really healthy for the first time. Right. And I think the one thing that hurt us last year was that spring season prior to our arrival. There were a lot of guys that were already beat up, banged up, and out for the year. Because you had to flip around and, play in the middle of April and then flip around to fall camp in July. Right. Surgery season was all screwed up, so but we feel really good about those offensive guys. Our running back position, we've got 4 guys back there, names that you guys have all remember and know that can play when they're healthy. Sanders and Mendeco and Neese and Tyrese Christian's a newcomer that's really going to help us, who understands our system.
So let's talk about the flip side of the ball. You've got defensive freshman of the year and Jonathan Morton coming back to the linebacker core. I've noticed on the roster you got a bunch of newcomers. Yeah. You also have a couple guys in the secondary that can still make an impact, but you're also losing a couple guys who were big in your secondary last year.
I think we lost we lost a few guys, but we've got better depth. So now it's yet to be seen if we can replace those guys, step for step. But in terms of the depth, I think we've got some really strong depth back there in the secondary. Brett Coleman, who's a Belfry kiddo who went Division I scholarship to Miami, Ohio.
Wow.
Brett Bad Intentions Coleman, as I think they called him in Belfry. He's a kid who can really roll at free safety. And Seneca Fuller is a big outside backer-looking body playing safety. He's intimidating coming down, supporting the run. T.J. Butler and Cam Miller, who were corners for us last year, bring experience and depth. And then, we've added a few junior college guys there too, and McGowan and some of those guys that can help. Obi Wilson, transferred from Kentucky Christian. I think he's going to help us. The linebacker position, we actually ended up with a kid that we did coach at Kentucky Christian 2 years ago, Anthony Grant, transferred Division I Alcorn State. Wasn't a fit for him on the reservation, as they call their campus down there. So he came up here and has been a good fit for us. Obviously, you got Deuce and Pope and a bunch of names, Maddox, and then some guys we've brought in who are junior college transfers that we can really think they're going to help us. Guys like Brandon Johnson and Tariq Hollingsworth, and some of those guys are going to be impactful. On our defensive line, our three-man front, you've got some guys that have been around here a while. We've got 2 starters from Johnson Central, one of the Horn brothers at Nose, and then you've got Irv that you just talked to. And then we've got kind of a cast of characters over there at the other defensive end that we think are going to really help us too. And we got a lot of young freshmen who we're interested to see if we can get them in this first game to see when the bullets are flying how they respond.
Sure. So is there anything else you want to talk about heading into Saturday?
I guess we forgot about our kickers. Got to love up on the kickers.
We got to talk about special teams now. I was going to say offensive line next, but I didn't know how in-depth we wanted to give.
No, I've loved the fat guys. I was one.
We've got to. They make it happen.
There's an old Adam Sandler song, the life of the lonely kicker. So, Jake Headley, our kicker, is a weapon, and our punters are still battling out there, figuring out who's going to be our number one. But the offensive line, we got some really athletic guys who can get out in space and block. So we feel good about, Bull Hunter and Eli Stollard and, Isaac Ramirez, who's a grad transfer. And, our offensive tackle situation, finally got Dane and Cray back healthy. And, now we're looking at a new starter at right tackle. So we feel good about everywhere right now because we're 0-0, right?
Right.
Everybody's undefeated at this moment.
This is the best time, yeah.
So, come Monday, we'll have some more proof and some more film to grade and look at and evaluate guys. But, really, I just couldn't be more thrilled of who our program is right now. If you look at it, knock on wood, our team this last year, not a single disciplinary issue on campus or in the community. A team GPA that jumped from 2.3 to 3.1.
And how many kids?
About 128 right now on the roster. So, our guys believe in doing the right thing, going to class, being the right people, and academics are very important. This may be the first college football team I've ever coached with a average GPA of, over a 3.0. And, that's credit to our academic support folks on campus. And it's also, credit to our assistant coaches disciplining these guys when they don't go to class.
Right.
So right now, outside the wins and losses, I feel like our program is head and shoulders above where it was this time last year. Now we just got to see if we can win some ball games.
Absolutely. So final thing I want to talk about, we've got a couple new coaches coming in. So let's give those guys some shine. Yeah,
so we've got 2 graduate assistants we promoted to full-time. We've got Colton Boyle, who was a graduate assistant on offense, is now our full-time receivers coach, does an excellent job for us, got his MBA here from the University of Pikeville. You've got, Coach Amari Tinsley, who was a defensive lineman for us when we coached up the road and was an academic all-conference guy and on-the-field all-conference guy, and then became a great GA, and now he's our full-time defensive line coach. And then we had the opportunity to bring in a new full-time coach in Will Sinelli, who I worked with at Montana Tech University, which is traditionally a really good playoff caliber NAIA program.
Sharp guy.
And Will's super sharp, undergrad from Northwestern, kind of a Mike Leach, Lou Holtz kind of guy. Didn't play high school football, didn't play college football, but got his feet wet as a Division I graduate assistant in Northern Illinois and some different places. So he's our co-offense coordinator, running backs guy, doing a great job. And then we've got a new strength conditioning coach, Charles Friday, from Tennessee Tech, who's doing an outstanding job with our guys. And we just added 2 athletic trainers this week.
Yes.
Married duo of Jeff Curley and Lauren Curley, who we've worked with previously, and feel like they've added a huge component to our sports medicine department.
And they're much needed. So that is an awesome point. I'm glad you said that. So welcome to them. We'll be putting out that release as soon as we get all of their information and all that good stuff.
I let the cat out the bag.
Oh, no, absolutely. It's public information. But welcome to those folks. And we're happy to have them, obviously. I know the athletic training staff is thrilled to have more people to help them out, especially as we're getting football started. So if that's all you got, that's all we got.
That's all I've got.
For the first episode of the Coaches Show.
Yeah, we got a blackout game this weekend, giving away 500 T-shirts. So come to the game, get a T-shirt. In addition to that, we'll feed you some Buffalo Wild Wings starting about 6:15 before that 7 o'clock kick. So come support our corporate sponsors who really want to pour into the community and pour into our program.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
See you Saturday.